Robin, let's shift it over to the NFC West, where the Saints really have an opportunity to go 3 up just 5 games in.
That's right. They would face Deion Sanders. He's seen a lot of Fulton County Stadium, but the Saints weren't impressed. The Saints were going for their first perfect September in their 25-year history, and yes, their defense has had a big part in that. They're number 1 in the league against the rush, number 2 overall, and I don't think Chris Miller was looking forward to facing the Saints linebackers, and they would be in Miller's face all day long. Who'd have thought those Saints would be 4-0? I think these guys thought that. The best linebackers in the business. Jackson, Swilling, Mills, and Johnson. Jerry Glanville says, we got to play those guys? Yes, you do, Chris Miller. Eric Pegram stuck for a loss by Vaughn Johnson. Pegram rushed 4 times for -2 yards. Andre Rison cut down by Ricky Jackson, a 9-yard loss. Rison caught only 1 pass for 9 yards. Miller nailed by Ricky Jackson. The Falcons recover the fumble. Miller, he is pressured again. Now watch this, TJ. Chris Miller going back, sacked from behind by Mr. Jackson.
And Robin, as if Ricky Jackson needs help getting to the quarterback, you watch All-Pro tackle Chris Hinton here, give him a push so that he makes sure he gets the sack.
Ricky Jackson with 3 of the Saints' 5 sacks, and he also recovered a fumble. Meanwhile, how did Deion do against the Saints D? Well, Deion back to receive the punt, and he gathers it in, takes off, but he fumbles. The ref helps him out, says he was down. So the Saints, they tried again. Jim Wilkes knocks the ball loose from Mike Rozier. Gene Atkins scoops up the loose ball, laterals it to Vince Buck. They're just having fun. But the refs help out again, say, Saints, you guys are offsides, no TD. 3rd time's a charm, but not for the Saints. Bobby Hebert to John Tice, Jesse Tuggle nails him. Ken Tippins tiptoes in for the touchdown. They had to look at this a couple times, but the touchdown stood. 6-3 Falcons after the missed PAT, and Jim Moore just a little bit concerned. But the Saints would straighten out their receiving problems. Late in the 2nd quarter, Bobby Hebert to Floyd Turner. He stays on his feet, goes 47 yards. Okay, Deion, you can come along for the ride.
A lot of athletic talent in that secondary, but very poor fundamentals when it comes to getting the receiver on the ground. First by Scott Case, and then at the goal line by Neon Deion.
Trying to strip him of the ball. 10-6 Saints at the half. Jerry Glanville, I didn't teach him how to tackle like that. Turner picked up in the 2nd half where he left off. Hebert just lays it right over the Falcons' D. Turner scoring twice in the same game for the first time in his career. Morris says, you know, Bobby, you do that. Saints fans are going to forgive you. Floyd Turner with 4 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Saints continue to swarm on D. Mills stands up Tracy Johnson, and everybody gets in on the fun. Then Gene Atkins blitzes, and Miller loses the ball again. And it was a rough day, to say the least, for Chris Miller. I told you those linebackers would be in his face all day long. Late in the 4th, little icing on the cake. Dalton Hilliard feeling just fine, thank you very much. He had to sit out the game last week against the Vikings. 65-yard touchdown run. The Saints roll 27-6. And Glanville just dumbfounded by that Saints D. 27-6 is the final. Chris Miller sacked 5 times today. The Falcons had given up a total of 5 sacks in their previous 4 games combined. Now, we've been talking about on game day and on prime time the Saints' excellent linebacking core, but TJ, do you see a little reversal going on with Pat Swilling and Ricky Jackson?
Well, it's so strange, and it's so much fun to watch these guys play. But, you know, when Pat Swilling first came into the league, he received a lot of single blocking combinations because of Ricky Jackson. You had to watch him so closely. Pat Swilling improved. All of a sudden, they said, well, let's go to the single blocking combinations on Ricky Jackson. Hey, when you've got 4 like this, you don't know who to block.
Yeah, and when you got a defense like that, chances are they play like that, you're going to be 5-0, and that's what the New Orleans Saints are right now. If we go inside the numbers, you compare the first 5 games last year against their first 5 games this year defensively. Points scored, they've halved that, and what they've allowed, just 47 points allowed in 5 games, under 10 a game. Takeaways are up, sacks are up, not by that much because they still had those linebackers last year. But the most important stat of all, the record is way up. They're in first by a long shot.